Franklin County Board of Commissioners General Session. Today is August 4th, 2020. We will begin this morning's meeting. And as a reminder, this is a public meeting and it's being recorded. We ask that you kindly maintain same level of decorum that you would if this meeting were to be held in person. And finally, for those of you that are calling in by phone, if you would please remember to mute your phone line by pressing *6. Thank you in advance. If not, the police, better known as Chris Long, Deputy County Administrator, will certainly seek you out. Anyway, for this morning, we will begin the Pledge of Allegiance with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Brown.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner O'Grady,
Yes.
I don't know that we do this often, but I'm wondering if it might make sense to move the resolution for which we have so many guests and our esteemed Congresswoman on, if we could move this resolution forward before we get to the routine resolutions that we have on the agenda also, which are important, but we've got so many guests on this resolution.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Brown. That's why I was looking through and scanning through my agenda this morning. I wanted to see what item it was at. And when I noticed it was item number 6, I thought that was probably what we needed to do. I didn't want to hold the Congresswoman up or the others that are here for that. So I appreciate the suggestion. So if for the purposes of not holding up all of our guests, especially our esteemed Congresswoman, let's skip first to item number 6 on the agenda, Economic Development and Planning.
Morning, everyone. Resolution number 517-20. Resolution authorizing an economic development agreement with Columbus Urban League to administer the Franklin County Community Equity Fund and establish the Franklin County Business Growth and Equity Alliance utilizing COVID-19 Federal CARES Act funding in the amount of $2 million.
Good morning, Commissioners. Deputy Administrator Keena Smith. This resolution seeks your approval to join with Columbus Urban League and Columbus to establish the Franklin County Business Growth and Equity Alliance. It's a new economic development partnership formed to boost the success outcomes of historically underutilized African American businesses. The resolution also establishes the Franklin County Community Equity Fund to help businesses stabilize and recover from the documented disproportionate impact of the coronavirus pandemic with $2 million in CARES Act funding. And lastly, the resolution before you enables the county administrator to sign necessary agreements associated with this initiative. Much appreciation to Sean Grant of One Columbus for the deep development of the initiative, and to the core team, Columbus Urban League, Belinda Carter and Avery Frost. Many thanks to the Franklin County, Rita Holloway from OMB, our economic development and planning team, Jim Shimmer, Alex Barris, my colleague Eric Janis, and Clerk Dean Lang for their support in coordinating the resolution and the agreement. Commissioners, as you mentioned, we have several speakers this morning, and we are blessed to welcome Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. The Congresswoman represents Ohio's 3rd Congressional District. And then we will hear from County Administrator Ken Wilson, Columbus President Stephanie Hightower, and CEO of Columbus, Kim McDonald. At this time, I'd like to welcome Congresswoman Beatty.
Congresswoman, you're muted.
Congresswoman, you're muted.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Keena Smith, to Chairman O'Grady, to Commissioners Brown and Boyce. First of all, let me say good morning and thank you for hosting and holding this so needed commission meeting and putting this resolution on your agenda. It has certainly been said that the corona pandemic has not radically changed our economy, but already accelerated existing trends and shed light on existing inequities in our economic system. One of these existing inequities that has been accelerated by the pandemic is the lack of access to capital for minority-owned businesses, especially as it relates to Black-owned businesses. As chair of the United States House Financial Services Subcommittee, Diversity and Inclusion, I actually held hearings on this very topic and the impacts of the pandemic on access to capital as it relates to minority-owned businesses. And let me just very briefly share with you that during these hearings, we learned that the National Bureau of Economic Research reported that the largest drop in minority-owned businesses between February and April, with a 41% drop in Black-owned businesses and a 32 and 26% drop for Latinx and Asian-owned businesses. I want you to digest that. While Congress acted to rescue our economy and small business owners with the passage of the CARES Act, which I am sure we are all so familiar with, including the creation of the Paycheck Protection Program, or most commonly referred to as PPP. We know that not enough of this economic relief found its way into our minority-owned communities, and again, especially for Black-owned businesses. For instance, of the 2,614 small businesses that self-identified themselves by their race and received less than $150,000 in PPP funds in my congressional district, right here in Franklin County, only 8.76% of those businesses were Black-owned in a district where 35% of the residents are Black. That is why it is so important that the county utilize a program of the CARES Act funding grants to state and local governments to support small businesses and to support the small business grant spearheaded by the Columbus Urban League and One Columbus to make grants available to historically underutilized and underserved Black-owned businesses. Let me just tell you how honored and proud I am to be at this commission meeting today, and how great of amount of confidence that I have in this partnership. I know these two organizations up close. I actually was the first Black woman to chair the Columbus Urban League's board. And I have watched their growth over the time, and certainly the stellar leadership during this pandemic. And if you want to judge organizations by their strength and their character, do it when you're up against the odds. And I can tell you, they have been amazing, not just for the Columbus Urban League, but for this community, and embracing diversity and inclusion, and bringing on a weekly call hundreds of individuals for the first time I've seen in my history working in this community. So hopefully you can tell by my passion and my commitment that I certainly think that they are deserving of you passing this resolution. Now, let me bring this to a closure by bringing you some facts and some data about the federal money. Let me say that again. The congressional money, the federal money that we worked hard to vote for because of you, because of leaders like you, Mr. Chairman, like the two commissioners, Brown and Boyce, who've been out in the forefront fighting for small businesses, well, we were able to say, we heard you. And I am so proud that I was a co-sponsor and was there every day to vote on these dollars. Now, what are the three basic or primary things that you need to know in making your decision? Well, the CARES Act requires, mandates that one, there be necessary expenditures. Well, I can tell you, I'm not coming to this meeting blindly. I had my financial service committee counsel, legal counsel, chief sponsor of person responsible for guiding me through the financial services committee, my chief of staff and legal counsel, my district director here in the district, and my entire legislative team scrutinize and go through this proposal. And I am very proud to report that their expenditures are appropriate and certainly necessary. Number 2 of 3, not accounted for previously in the budget. Well, that's an easy one. This is a new program, therefore they meet that criteria. Third, we are now looking at where and how we spend the $2 million. Well, let me just leave you with these words. We are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now. It is this unfolding conundrum of life and history. There is such a thing as being too late. Franklin County never wants to be too late. So with small businesses, the need is now. Therefore, the expenditures, the third thing, the expenditures must be incurred between March 1st and December 30th. Well, let me just tell you, their proposal clearly identifies the need and that the dollars can be allocated within the mandatory time frame. So I wanted you to know when you look over their proposals, when you come to this hopefully affirmative vote, you know that they have met all of the guidelines. So this $2 million small business grant meets all of the requirements and is necessary to ensure that we help close the access to capital in Franklin County, which is being accelerated, again, I must remind you, by this pandemic. And this will help pave a way forward to establishing a community development financial institution, or as we commonly hear it referred to as CDFIs, to focus servicing the needs of the underserved small businesses and to help preserve the fabric of our communities. And let me close by saying the 2 most powerful words I've been taught to say: thank you. Thank you for holding this meeting, but more importantly, thank you to Ken Wilson and Keena Smith on your team. Thank you for the leadership of President and CEO Stephanie Hightower, who has been certainly a leader during this process, and also on her staff. Let me just say to Melinda Carter, thank you for all of your work, and to Kenny McDonald and the entire core team that have put blood, sweat, and tears into this proposal. Thank you for your commitment and for ensuring that our Black-owned businesses and other minority small businesses survive the economic realities of this pandemic and thrive once we make it to the other side. And I know we will make it to the other side. It was indeed my honor to come before this Board of County Commissioners, and I leave you with the ask that they always tell us to do. You close a deal by telling them what you're asking. I ask you to give full consideration in support of this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman. Thank you, Congresswoman. Appreciate it.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes,
We'll
please.
We'll now move. Thank you, Congresswoman, and thank you, Commissioner O'Grady. We'll now move to County Administrator Wilson.
Thank you, Deputy Administrator Smith. If I don't do anything else today, my mother was listening to Zoom. She'll be proud just because I had an honor to speak after Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, because she's such a fan of everything that you're doing, everything you have to say. So I can say with confidence that I know we're doing something right and we're doing something good to be considering Resolution 517-20 this morning to establish an equity fund that will be targeted at many of the goals of the CARES Act to help communities recover, particularly minority, underrepresented, underutilized community that has suffered tremendously during this pandemic. We know that a crisis such as this requires bold and unprecedented actions. And I think this proposal that is before the Board of Commissioners today represents just that. It's focused at both the short term and the long term, breaking the historical inequalities that are built into the financial system due to structural racism. And it charts a path for the long term with the Equity Alliance that will be focused upon looking at the creation of a strong CDFI that will be focused on closing the racial wealth gap. And all of this work and the motivation behind this work builds upon the efforts of the Board of Commissioners, starting with the Rise Together blueprint to reduce poverty in Franklin County and create greater economic mobility. And then secondarily, the declaration of racism as a public health crisis, because there's a strong linkage, as we know, between economics and health. You can't be healthy if you don't have a roof over your head, if your family don't have food to eat. These are basic essentials in life that everyone deserves. So I commend the leadership during this pandemic, President John O'Grady and Commissioner Marilyn Brown and Commissioner Kevin Boyce for giving us the ability and the guidance and the leadership to push us to make sure that the community know that we are focused on coming out of this stronger than we went in, and particularly a new normal for communities of color and put them in a better position than they were when we went into this pandemic, because we know that the motivation of our work going back to 2018 was guided and motivated by the fact that we know that many zip codes in Franklin County were being left behind. And we talk about every resident every day. You can only prove that through your actions versus just speech. So I just want to commend the commissioners for what you all are considering today and what you'll consider tomorrow, because I know you all are passionate and motivated to continue to move the county forward. So I will now pass the baton to the president and CEO of the Columbus Urban League, Stephanie Hightower.
Thank you, County Administrator Wilson. I will say this. I am so glad that I did not have to come behind Congresswoman Beatty. And so I commend you for being brave to put your name after hers because of her passion, especially around this issue. I knew that she was going to bring it on and be strong this morning. Let me start by also thanking President O'Grady, Commissioners Boyce and Brown for your leadership and your transformative way of helping our county and especially minority-owned businesses. I want to just reiterate some of the things that Congresswoman Beatty pointed out, because I think it's important that this history is people understand the why. African Americans barely survived the Great Recession of 2008. They lost homes, we lost jobs, and our reentry into the workforce, was at the bottom of the barrel, right? And so now we have this pandemic. And, as Congresswoman Beatty pointed out, the data shows that, the SBA data shows that 8.7 million people are employed by minority-owned businesses in this country. And so if we're really talking about social justice, which is about economic inclusion, this equity fund is a great opportunity to support those minority-owned and underutilized businesses. So we know that there have been a lot of good intentions in the past in this community around making sure that minority-owned businesses had access to capital. But those good intentions of the past are not enough. And so the Columbus Urban League is a trusted community asset. And with the county and One Columbus, we have devised a culturally relevant approach that will provide access to capital so that we can expand upon the initial PPP efforts that you, commissioners, and Administrator Wilson allowed us to be a part of when the pandemic first started. And so for those of you who may not know, let me just revisit this for you. Because that initial seed money that you all provided for us, we were able to at least reach out and touch about 800 minority-owned businesses. We received about 4.5 million in grants, PP grants, and we were able to save around 935 jobs. So that is just the tip of the iceberg. And we know that with the collaboration with One Columbus and the county, we know that we have the ability or will have the ability to do a lot more and to be more successful as it relates to minority-owned businesses in Franklin County. So with that, I will now pass the baton over to Kenny McDonald.
Company. Good morning, Commissioners, Congresswoman Beatty. Thank you. We're honored to be part of this consideration for this alliance. Commissioner Boyce sits on our board of directors and is passionate about this subject, and I appreciate his work over the last 30 days as Sean Grant and the team on the phone here has put a ton of work into figuring out the roles and responsibilities of various players and what they bring to the table so that we can form the strongest alliance, not just to push $2 million to a community that desperately needs it right now, but to build a sustainable long-term alliance that can do maybe a number of things in an important part of our region and a very important part of our business community. When we laid out our vision at the end of last year to be the most prosperous region in the country, what we meant by that was that growth was simply not enough, that we had to be more intentional about closing gaps that exist in housing, in transportation, in health disparities that we have. But those disparities and inequities also exist in economic development, in entrepreneurship, and in wealth creation. And this alliance is going to at least go straight at that, which is how do we get more capital access? How do we have wraparound services to help entrepreneurs be successful in our African American community across the country? And for One Columbus, that means bringing our corporate relationships to the table, our entire alliance, which is over 300 governments and private sector partners that we work with every single day. And perhaps dozens of national and international alliances to bring expertise and networks, and I hope a little bit of money to the table to make sure that we're moving this forward. We have a chance to make a difference, and as the Congresswoman said, we may already be a little bit late, but the best day to start is right now. And so the urgency that we're acting with through this and getting the initial money, the CARES money to these businesses is going to be critically important. So is staying after it and bringing the entire network to the table. I appreciate everybody's willingness for consideration. Proud to be part of this alliance, and we're going to do everything we can to make it not only work in the short term, but make a difference over the long term.
Thank you. Thank you, Kenny. And thank you to Congresswoman Beatty, Administrator Wilson, and President Hightower. Commissioners, I know that you will have some comments of your own, but if there are no further comments or questions from our speakers, I would like to respectfully ask for your approval of this resolution.
My colleagues have any thoughts or questions they'd like to add? Seems as though Commissioner Boyce is struggling with his device there.
Can you see that? You can see me struggling with that?
I always know when you're struggling, Commissioner.
I thought I was off the screen. I couldn't get back to the screen. Thank you, President O'Grady. I'm not sure there's a lot else to add other than to say thanks to all of the hard work of the staff. I want to recognize Kenny McDonald and One Columbus, because when we started in this conversation early on, Kenny's attitude along with One Columbus was, whatever you need from us, we'll play that role. And there was many discussions of what it would look like. And when ultimately it was decided to house this at the Urban League, they continue to be just such a great partner. And I want to recognize Kenny McDonald for his leadership in being so thoughtful and gracious about the partnership and what that looks like. And I believe committed. So thank you. Let me just once again say how grateful I am to have two colleagues that just, buy so deeply into equality and equity. It's really a unique and incredible thing. When you watch what happens in the legislature, when you watch what happens in Congress, say for our great Congresswoman Joyce Beatty and how she's able to work across the lines. But when you watch what's happening across the country and at the different levels of government, we just don't have that problem at our level. We are, I think, really locked in on what we believe. And more importantly, I think this is an illustration of our value system as a county and as an institution. And I just want to thank my colleagues for being so ingrained in this work and providing such strong leadership. It's just grateful. I'm grateful to be a part of it. And I do think this is meaningful. I'm working on a few big projects in the business world and my investment banking world. And I will tell you, the world, the country is moving and changing in this conversation around equity. And we are ahead of it. We are ahead of it as a Franklin County. We should be. And that's the beauty and the value of being a part of such a progressive community like Central Ohio. And when you've got leaders like we have with Commissioner Brown and Commissioner O'Grady, I really think it makes this work for people like Ken and Keena easy, because they know what their mission is and they know the support they'll have, and they know how we're willing to do whatever it takes to address these issues. And so you get products like this. And so all that to say, thanks everyone for the investment and support in equality and equity. This is but of one program that Franklin County is investing deeply in, but more importantly, again, it restates our value as an organization and as a group. If we were a three-headed monster, the monster would be a good one and a productive one. And so I'm just grateful to be a part of it and thank my colleagues and staff for all the work that they do and what they believe in. So I'm very enthusiastically going to support this resolution.
Commissioner Brown, you're muted. Commissioner, you're muted.
John, what do you have, some kind of secret view of all of us, knowing how we do this?
Commissioner
Brown, you're still muted.
Professional with this stuff. Commissioner Brown, you're muted. I'm just good at this after
Of course I
4,000
am. I was going to ask if you wanted to say anything, John, before I move forward, and I had some things I wanted to say, but if you want to speak before I move forward with moving this resolution forward.
simply to say, we had a lot to say in briefing the other day. I just wanted to thank all the folks for all the hard work that they put in on this. Obviously, President Hightower and Kenny McDonald for the work they did, Sean Grant and Melinda Carter for all the hard work that they put in. I mean, there's just, this was a lot of good folks putting a lot of hard work and came together in a short amount of time to really do a lot of great work here, and this is important. We have Franklin County has in a quick amount of time put together a lot of things, a lot of tools over the last few months to help folks, when we've been needed. This is just another great example of putting together a tool that's going to help the community, and the partnership is a great one. We've done a lot of work over the years with the Urban League and President Hightower, and the work that we're able to do in the community with and through the Urban League has been tremendous. And that's been a valued partnership. We've also done a lot of work with One Columbus, but to put the two organizations together to get this work done is a tremendous effort. And so appreciate everybody's work, everybody's leadership, and thank you for stepping up and making this happen. And so especially and the staff as well. So thanks for everybody for getting this thing done.
And I agree with both of my colleagues, and I would like to just say the time is now. And Congresswoman, you're exactly right. Now is the time of urgency, and we must do this. Franklin County Board of Commissioners has a time of, we've been doing these types of things over a long period of time, but we are coming together now to make something different happen, and for a specific community of the underserved that really needs our help. And I am very happy to move forward Resolution 51720. It is time, and the time is now.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 517-20 has been adopted.
Thanks, guys. All right, so let's move back to the top of the agenda to the engineer.
Actually, Commissioner, before we move forward, if we could get approval of the listed minutes, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. We skipped right past that. I apologize. Thank you, everybody, for being with us this morning. For those guests that are leaving us at the moment, we appreciate you being with us. If we could get an approval of the minutes of the March 10th and March 17th, 2020 general sessions, the July 30th, 2020 briefing session, and the July 27, 29, and 31, 2020 administrative briefings.
So moved.
Commissioner Boyce, you're muted.
Sorry, second.
Thank you. I'm smiling, by the way. Moved and seconded. Commissioner Brown.
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce.
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
The minutes have been approved. Thank you.
All right. So sorry, I apologize. Not the engineer, the domestic relations court.
I believe that Barb is on the line. Barb, are you still there?
Yes, I am here. Julie Troff, our Deputy Director of Programs and Services, is going to present this first resolution for us.
There you go, Julie.
Good morning, Commissioners. Julie Troff, Deputy Director of Programs and Services. This resolution will approve contracts with the 3 local school districts to provide attendance services to youth and families in an attempt to reduce school truancy filings. The districts will reimburse the court for 50% of the salary cost for truancy officers assigned to their districts. The Truancy Intervention and Prevention Program reduces formal court filings. related to truancy by partnering with local school districts to address attendance barriers by providing resources and services to youth and families in Franklin County. 316 youth and families were referred to the Truancy Intervention and Prevention Program for the 2019-2020 school year from these districts, and only 19 required formal court intervention. Pending any questions, the court requests your approval of this resolution.
And Commissioners, actually, before we move forward, if I might, we're a little out of rhythm this morning, but we'll get back on our game. It's resolution number 505-20, resolution authorizing contracts for attendance services with Groveport Madison, New Albany Plain Local, and Southwestern City Schools in the amount of $132,090.
Thank you, Clerk.
If there are no comments or questions, I'll move for passage of 505-20.
We are a bit
Second.
out. Okay, we
Move.
seconded. I actually did have a question.
Okay.
Sorry, Julie, I know we normally just kind of run through these things, but I kind of wanted to ask about truancy during these times. I mean, you know, how are we addressing or measuring truancy, you know, when we're not even certain kids are going to be in school? I mean, what's this all going to look like right now?
Excellent question. So what our plan is initially is we are currently conducting meetings with the districts that we have partnerships with to sit down and discuss how they're planning on tracking truancy for the upcoming school year, as well as how we can play a role in student engagement. Again, the focus is going to be on families with resources and services that they're in need of to kind of address those attendance barriers for them ever having any type of contact.
Gotcha. So are these school districts, have they, this is Groveport, Madison, New Albany, and Plain Local. And Southwestern, there's 4 school districts. Have they decided what their school year is going to look like?
Yes, 2 of the districts have. So Southwestern City Schools has adopted a remote learning for the first 9 weeks of the school year, as has Groveport Madison. However, New Albany is still waiting to make a determination as to how they're planning to proceed for this school year.
I'm assuming that decision's coming pretty quickly. I know the Hilliard School District, for instance, is making a decision on Monday. And I think others are making decisions pretty quickly as well. Okay. All right. I was just curious. I mean, it just seems like, you know, truancy seems like a pretty fluid, you know, topic when kids aren't generally going to be in school anyway. So, all right. Thank you. Sorry. I know it's been moved and seconded. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 505-20 has been adopted.
And for the record, I wasn't going to vote no anyway. I was just curious.
Resolution number 506-20. Resolution authorizing a contract for the linen and laundry service for the Franklin County Juvenile Intervention Center in the amount of $52,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Barb Reeves, Deputy Director. Competitive sealed bids were received by the Purchasing Department for the linen services for the Juvenile Intervention Center. Buckeye Linen Service was the only bidder for this contract, and they are our current vendor. The rate remained relatively unchanged from previous years. Pending any questions, the court requests the approval of this resolution.
If there are no questions or comments, I'll move for passage of 506-20.
Commissioner Boyce?
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 506-20 has been adopted.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you, Barb and Julie. All right. The County Auditor.
Resolution number 507-20. Resolution authorizing a contract with Hoover Blanket Incorporated doing business as Main Street Computing for the implementation of a new dog licensing software system in the amount of $302,710.
Good morning, Commissioner President O'Grady, Commissioners Brown, Commissioner Boyce, Michael Stenziano, your Franklin County Auditor. This morning, I am pleased to bring forward and present Resolution 507-20, as the clerk mentioned, service agreement with Hoover Blanket Incorporated, doing business as Main Street Computing for dog licensing software. This procurement does have the support of the county data center's recommendation and was passed by the county data board pursuant to resolution number 20-056. Don't have to tell you, if you know a dog owner, dogs are important. They provide companionship and long-term mental health benefits. They provide service to individuals with a variety of special abilities, and they work alongside our public safety teams to protect and comfort when needed. The Franklin County Auditor's Office is committed to our duty of responsible dog licensing and working with owners for these wonderful canine companions. Not the first time our office has been working and seeking your support regarding dog licensing, and I do appreciate your ongoing collaboration for this important statutory duty and topic. So under Ohio law, all dogs must be licensed, and Franklin County further promotes responsible and safe ownership by requiring all dogs over 3 months old to be current on their rabies vaccinations in order to qualify for a license. Licensing service dogs designated as dangerous, and dog kennels also serves the long-term viability and stability of responsible dog ownership throughout the county. Franklin County residents do deserve an IT solution that can address the nuances of dog ownership, maintain data across a broad spectrum of county and city databases, and is user-friendly, establishing confidence and buy-in on the importance of licensing. Which brings us to this resolution. We believe Main Street Computing can deliver such a comprehensive solution for the residents of Franklin County. Pursuant to the RFP that was conducted 2020-21-02, Main Street Computing was selected as the lowest and best bid out of 8 competing proposals. This solution is a software as a service platform that is a browser-based software application developed with modern open source technologies, hosted on a secure AWS server in Virginia. The technology is distinguished by its high degree of being able to be configured. The auditor's current solution, DogEnet and Dogs Admin, do require constant custom reprogramming to keep the system functional. In addition, it does add to the county's technological debt by redirecting auditor and county resources from other mission-critical tasks. As my staff likes to joke, you can't teach an old dog system new tricks. So in addition, a quote from the data center estimated that $200,000 investment in 2020 could patch our current systems without providing any additional functionality. The Main Street solution has a lower $135,000 year one cost with a yearly investment of $43,000 that includes support for additional integrations with custom systems that contain relevant dog information. Moreover, I do get a lot of comments, emails, notes from the public on a rolling basis where they have expressed frustration with the current system. The most problematic is notification when they've had a canine pass away. They remain in our system. And so nothing is worse than being reminded of that passing and that emotional tug. And so would love to have a system that doesn't have us be that blind, because we do feel it does hurt the public's confidence in properly licensing their dogs. Aside from being law, licensing also directly contributes to the stability of the county's dog and animal shelter and services. Dog licensing generates approximately $2 million annually for the county, of which over 90% goes directly to animal care and control. Over the past 2 years, the administration or the county Auditor's Office has helped increase the amount of licensed dogs in the county by 10%, generating approximately an additional $100,000 more dollars for the county's animal services in the past year, number I am proud to see continuing to trend upward. I do believe a modernized licensing system that is user-friendly and can handle the data management demands on the back end can help restore confidence in our dog licensing process and continue to have that positive growth trend. That is the nuts and bolts. If there are no additional questions, I apologize for so much passion on dog licensing, but would appreciate your support of the resolution.
I will move for passage of 50720.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 507-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, sir. We got all the way through that and my dog never even came into the room. That's good stuff. You said normally when the word dog happens, my dog comes running, and you said dog 45 times and my dog never came into the room. That's good. She must be preoccupied. All right. Thank you, Mr. Cinziano. And now we will move on to the county engineer.
We have a public
Now it must have been because I said it. Now my dog walks into the room. Good morning, Mr. Robertson. How are you today? We have a public hearing this morning. Clerk Hindenline, can you please read the public hearing into the record?
Thank you, Commissioner. Resolution regarding final hearing for establishing, altering, and widening of Toy Road, Swisher Road, and Saltzgaber Road, Madison Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
Good morning, Commissioners and Congresswoman Beatty. It's great to see you all, even if only just in the virtual sense. My name is Cornell Robertson, County Engineer and Drainage Engineer for everyone in Franklin County. And Commissioners, if you like, I can describe this project while you wait for public comments from the audience. This is a capital improvement project in the southeast part of the county, east of Allen Creek Drive and south of Groveport Road. This is a cooperative project including Madison Township, City of Groveport, a private developer, and Franklin County, of course. The subsequent resolution, if you all approve, will allow us to move forward with right-of-way acquisition. And if approved, I'll bring the title sheet for the right-of-way plans to the courthouse later today for your signature. Thank you.
Okay, so is there anyone in the audience that would like to, first of all, we'd like to open the public hearing for this resolution. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on the public hearing? Anyone on the call or on the video conference? Well, seeing none and hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. And if the clerk would read the resolution into the record, please.
Resolution number 508-20, final hearing for establishing, altering, and widening of Toy Road, Swisher Road, and Saltzgaber Road, Madison Township, Franklin.
Do we have any additional information on, or did you say it all?
This is, again, quickly, the resolution for title sheet for the right-of-way plans, and I'll bring that later today if you all approve the resolution.
Okay. If there are no comments or questions, I'll move for passage of 508-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 508-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 509-20, resolution awarding contract and approving contract bond to the Shelley Company for the 2020 Franklin County Township Resurfacing Program in the amount of $2,118,287.19.
Commissioners, this is a construction contract award with Shelley Company. This is for our annual township resurfacing program. We had a competitive bid on July 7th. We had 5 bidders, and Shelley Company had the lowest and best bid.
If there are no questions, I will move for passage of 509-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 509-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 510-20. Resolution authorizing the Franklin County Engineer to enter into a contract modification with HDR Engineering Incorporated for the Walnut Street at Harlem Road Improvement Project, increase of $46,711.64 for a revised contract amount of $186,154.64.
Commissioners, as stated, this is a design contract modification with HDR for the intersection improvement at Walnut Street and Harlem, which is in the northeast part of the county in Plain Township. This design modification will include capacity analysis, cross sections, and drainage improvement design.
I'll move for passage of 510-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 510-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 511-20. Resolution authorizing a contract with Meckwort, Hamilton, and Tilton Incorporated to provide consulting services in the amount of $37,460.
This resolution is for a design contract with EMH&T to design a water line extension to our east maintenance facility, which is located at 4801 Hendron Road.
I will move for passage of 51120.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 511-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 512-20. Carpenter Marty Incorporated consulting engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County engineer with engineering services for the Brown Road, County Road number 142 from Frank Road, County Road number 125 to US Route 62, Harrisburg Pike Improvement Project, Franklin County, Ohio, in the amount of $174,108.25.
Commissioners, as stated, this is a design contract with Carpenter Marty to design the improvement to Brown Road, which extends from Frank Road north to Harrisburg Pike. We'll likely design lane widenings, shoulder improvements, drainage improvements, and pedestrian facilities. We utilize the qualifications-based selection process and recommend your approval.
If there are no questions, I'll move for approval of 51320.
Sorry, Commissioner.
Second.
Excuse me, it's 512-20.
51220.
Second.
Thank you. Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady. Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution number 512-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 513-20. H.R. Gray Incorporated, consulting engineers appointed to assist the Franklin County engineer in performing construction inspection services, Franklin, Ohio, in the amount of $100,000.
Commissioners, this is a professional services contract with H.R. Gray, who will help us with construction inspection on various road and bridge improvements. And I apologize. You may hear our dogs in the background.
We're all having issues today.
Wound up.
It's okay.
Done briefing 513 or
Mr. Engineer, was there anything else in regards to the resolution, sir?
No, I think I covered the presentation. A little help from
I'll move for
here.
passage of 51320.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
yes.
Resolution number 513-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 514-20. Resolution authorizing agreement with Data Transfer Solutions, LLC to provide consulting services in the amount of $126,943.
Commissioners, this is also a professional services contract with DTS, who will help us with vehicle-based GIS field asset data collection, which will include items such as traffic signage, pavement markings, sidewalks, curb ramps, storm sewer access ports, and so forth.
Okay. If there are no questions, I'll move for passage of 51420.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 514-20 has been adopted.
All right, now the drainage engineer.
Resolution number 515-20. Resolution approving amendment to the compliance schedules for Franklin County related to a consent decree with the State of Ohio Environmental Protection Agency.
Commissioners, as stated, this resolution is a follow-up to the consent decree resolution you all approved on June 9th. This particular resolution incorporates changes from the Ohio EPA on duration, start, and finish dates for self-reporting of our municipal separate storm sewer system. Pending any questions, I respectfully request your approval.
I'll move for approval of 5/15/20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 515-20 has been adopted.
Thank you all very much. And I would like to say congratulations on your resolution for the Community Equity Fund this morning. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
Thanks, engineer.
Engineer. Now to the Board of Elections.
Resolution number 516-20, resolution authorizing supplemental appropriations to prepare for the 2020 general election.
Good morning, Commissioners. Again, just wanted to take a second and say I'm very proud of the steps that you took at the beginning of this agenda to establish the funds to provide additional assistance for those in the community that need it the most. And again, just very proud to be part of the Franklin County family. So the resolution that you have in front of you is to appropriate some grant dollars that we received, that were received by the Board of Elections from the Secretary of State's office. The first grant that was a CARES Act grant dollars in the amount of $1,027,776. And these are for assisting counties in the additional expenses that they've incurred, boards of elections have incurred as a result of the COVID-19 and coronavirus pandemic, for additional staffing. And essentially, it's really for those additional expenses that are the result of the coronavirus and the pandemic. Because as a structure, it's not to supplement it's actually not to supplant the expenses of the county, but it's to supplement the expenses of the counties, recognizing that there's going to be additional needs. And they give an outline of some of the things they'd look us to spend them on, including additional staffing, poll worker training, additional poll workers, personal protective equipment. Again, just those types of additional expenses that we're going to see as a result of the coronavirus. And then and that was allocated based on the registration numbers in each county. So the larger the county is, the more funds we receive. And so that's why Franklin County, out of the $12 million that the Secretary of State received, Franklin County received over $1 million. The second grant is a HAVA grant in the amount of $40,000. Again, there were some funds available that the Secretary of State was able to distribute to each county, and Franklin County received $40,000, and that's designated to help implement the Secretary of State's 2019 security directive. And again, so primarily cyber security needs or physical security needs. And so we're still identifying exactly how we'll utilize that, but we know we'll be able to put it to use in preparation for the 2020 election. So unless there are any other questions, I'd respectfully request approval of the resolution and take an opportunity right now to put the plug in for poll workers. Because again, as we've seen in the coverage of the primary election season and all the lines that we've seen in other states during that primary season, a lot of that can be attributed to poll worker shortages. And so to the extent that we can encourage those within Franklin County and those throughout the county, not only in Franklin County government, but also we've worked with people in the city of Columbus and a lot of our suburban communities. And so we just want to get the message out. And my sign is not as nice as, and see, I don't know if this is going to be reversed or if that does anything to get the information out, but we want to encourage people. Our theme is really recognize that people, this is a call to service for people. I mean, we do know that people work to get for the money. We do pay it to volunteer. We hear people saying about volunteering for the polls, but we actually pay $148 to start with, or it can go up from there depending on the amount of training you receive, as well as what position you get, you decide to work. But again, you can go to workelectionday.com. That's actually just a very simple email or web address, workelectionday.com. And the number is 614-525-5393. But again, we encourage, we are going to have all the protective equipment in place so that poll workers can work safely. And again, so we just want to encourage people to take advantage of it, to step up and serve. Everybody talks about wanting to make sure that the election runs smoothly. But it is only going to happen when individuals make that decision to step forward and say, I will serve. And so that's what we want to encourage people when we're doing to the commissioner's staff and all three commissioners for their support in helping us get that accomplished and helping get that message out about the need for poll workers. And so with that, now I'll turn it over to the commissioners.
Director Leonard, I appreciate that. I think I'm assuming my colleagues have questions, and I know Administrator Wilson does, and I have questions as well. Mine may not necessarily be on the resolution, but I do have questions about the election. Commissioners, do you guys have any questions? Director Leonard?
I do on the resolution in terms of poll workers and what the CARES Act can pay for, or what this resolution can pay for. Ed, can this money pay for additional training? And can you pay to get additional sites if you need to pay for sites for election day? Are you allowed to do that if you're looking for locations for election day and you're having trouble finding locations because of the pandemic? Are you able to pay at all?
Yes, we do pay for some locations. We've got all the government locations we get without charge. We do
right
for some amount of
in
cleaning.
the communities. Are you able to offer any pay for sites if you're having trouble finding locations?
Yes, and we are.
Okay.
We actually do. So, and we're working on identifying what additional we can provide for cleaning, because I know some of our locations are going to want to have some amount, to help them if they have served as a polling location, that we can provide additional dollars to allow them to get whatever services they need in order to be able to clean the location.
I've been doing a lot of outreach to try to get poll workers, and one of the areas in which I'm really focused on right now is at the city, because they don't have a policy at the city for poll workers. And so I'm working on reaching out to city council and the mayor's office to see if we can make some headway there. But I think we really need to really get that pinned down with poll workers.
Well, with the city, they do have in their master compensation plan, they do provide for it, but it's for only a limited number of employees. Essentially, all the any of the bargaining unit employees aren't included in that, so they separate, and so there will be need to work through that. But I've been in contact with the city attorney's office as well, because again, there's that additional ability for attorneys to earn 4 hours of continuing
correct
hours. So
right, and we're really pushing on that with the continuing education credit. But there's also the patriotic aspect of this and being more inspiring about getting poll workers, because it's a part of democracy, and doing an inspiring message to those throughout the community that this is a call to action to do a patriotic amount of work to be a poll worker, and really finding people are responding to that message in a very positive way. So we're hoping we're making inroads to the business community and to government. So.
No, again, I appreciate the support you've been providing, again, to help, and some of the ideas and some of the staff have provided in terms of that outreach, because we've been having some same communication, but I think you've also been reaching to folks that we haven't gotten to yet. And so we appreciate that.
Commissioner Boyce, do you have any questions?
Nope, don't have any questions.
Administrator Wilson, I know you had questions or comments.
Thank you, President O'Grady. Director Leonard, I know you've been working with Deputy Administrator Long, has been in the loop. You're looking at securing some space to create greater social distancing by moving some of the equipment to another location. Please let us know what other efforts that county administration can assist with helping you ensure, because we won't make as hard a push as possible for individuals to volunteer to be poll workers, and we want them to know that it's going to be a safe experience, and we're going to do everything to ensure social distancing, masks, adequate supply of hand sanitizer, and all of those things. So anything that we can do to have that a part of your recruitment message, that we are going to put 110% in to safety. You will be just as safe by being a poll worker as you would be if you were a Board of Commissioner employee that worked in one of our agencies that are working a modified schedule. That is the message that I want to be able to, deliver to our employees in the BOC, because we're making a really hard push to encourage our employees to give a day to support democracy and receive their pay as a county employee and the poll worker pay. Right. But we really want to reinforce safety, that you're not going to jeopardize safety by working that day.
Well, again, I appreciate that support. We've worked with the MA, Jeff Young and his folks over there to make sure that we secure face shields. Gary Collins from your staff has been working closely with us to ensure that we have face masks. So we've got shields, masks. We've been working with Darla Reardon and her team in public facilities management for some of the other PPE. The Secretary of State's been working closely with us. We're reviewing every location to determine what steps we need to take to make it safe, whether that's additional space that if there's additional space available, or if there are steps that we need to take to provide dividers and to create the separation within the room so that every location can be safe. Because again, what we don't want to do is have to move a location unless we absolutely have to. And so our goal is to make that location safe, both for the voters as well as for the poll workers. But again, I appreciate the concern, because I share it as well, and we're working closely with all of your team members. And so again, it really is a Franklin County effort. And so I appreciate that, and I appreciate your support for whatever we need, that you'll be there to help us, because again, we want to make sure that it's carried out right. We want to make sure that it's safe for everybody that's working the polls. And one of the things that we're working on is changing the way we train to do more of that training through video, so that poll workers don't have to show up and stay in a room together for 3 or 4 hours for voting location manager training or machine judge training. Is making that shorter. Again, smaller classes, shorter classes. So again, and that's all been with the support of your teams.
Yeah, Director, that's what, that's what makes the communications plan that I know you anticipate to come forward so vitally important, because not only do we want the poll workers to know that we're all in for their safety, we want those that don't exercise their ability to vote by mail or to vote early, that when they come vote on election day, that Franklin County is going to have its stuff together and you're going to be safe to cast that vote. So I just wanted, reinforce that we're all in for whatever we need to do as county administration in concert with you all at the Board of Election. And lastly, I was pleased to see that on the 20th, you're doing a virtual lunch and learn in concert with the animal shelter. So I know that was something that I've been trying to push for to motivate and educate our workers on the opportunities that are available to be a poll worker.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Absolutely. And again, as I've said, is that the challenges that other states have faced in carrying out their elections have been the result of poll worker shortages. And so I think it really is the Franklin County way. I mean, I know we talk about the Columbus way, but it really is the Franklin County way, because we are coming together and we are working, not just the Board of Elections, that a lot of the agencies are coming together with that same interest in mind, as making sure that it runs smoothly. And helping us enlist our business community, helping us enlist all of the jurisdictions in Franklin County, not just the city of Columbus and not just the county itself, but all of our jurisdictions. And so again, it's we are going to be working to make sure that it's successful on election day, but it won't be just the Board of Elections that gets it done. It'll be because we all work together.
Thank you,
Director. I think what you heard from Administrator Wilson and from myself and from my colleagues over the last, from today and from the last several weeks is that, not only are we doing all we can to encourage our employees to take the day and to do what we can to get as many poll workers as we can. That way, going forward, we also we want to commit to you that we're going to do whatever we can to continue. So if we have more ideas, in the coming weeks to come up with to find ways to come up with poll workers. We want to continue to be collaborative. We want to continue to try to support you in that effort. So if you and your staff, especially in conjunction in collaboration with county administration, have more ideas of how we can come up with poll workers, please keep us apprised of that. We want to do everything we can to.
I would add is anything you can do to help enlist our business community, because I think they have stronger connections to the three of you and to your teams at the commissioner's office than they would necessarily to the Board of Elections. And so when a commissioner calls, or when a deputy or the administrator calls, that you're more likely to get that engagement than we might necessarily get calling from the Board of Elections. And so
we can do that.
Working to enlist your support for that effort.
We can do that. We can reach out to the business community. We can make that happen. We'll commit to doing that. No problem.
And I know that's been beginning as well. So I know that's underway. So
okay. The other thing that I would I have a question, totally separate from today's agenda, but I do have a question. House Bill 680. We discussed it yesterday with my colleagues from across our colleagues from across the state, the metropolitan counties, and with the governor. House Bill 680 allows for each county to have a drop box. I'm assuming at this point, or I hope at this point, you are discussing amongst your team ideas for locations for that drop box. It currently only allows for one drop box per county as a result of the pandemic, for folks to be able to come and drop their absentee ballot. So that they can drop it off, as opposed to taking it to the Board of Elections, sticking it in the mail. It's a drop box location. I would imagine you and your team are discussing, and you don't. I don't need to at this point know where the location might be, or if you've narrowed down locations, but you are having, I'm assuming, some sort of a robust conversation about where that location might be. I would imagine in smaller counties, it's a much easier conversation to have. But in a county like Franklin County with 1.3 million residents, it's got to be a much more difficult conversation to have in terms of what's the best strategic location to place a single lone drop box.
Well, we're also looking at multiple locations, because I know the Secretary of State has made a request to the Attorney General for an opinion regarding drop boxes. And in that, even if House Bill 680 doesn't get enacted, that the Secretary of State determines, based on an AG opinion, that there is authority to do multiple drop boxes, then it's a matter of determining where we would locate them, trying to identify, and I've been in conversation with the Sheriff's Office, with facility management staff, in terms of the locations, county government locations that are already in the video surveillance network that have cameras at them and are already plugged into that. I've talked with Pat Lisinski at the library as to maybe the potential of using their Dropbox areas, because those are also 24/7 monitored, to provide a location that actually is conducive for drive up Dropbox.
Yeah.
that are monitored, that are, so it's like making sure we identify what are potential locations that we can quickly relate to our board that, hey, these are they are kind of our current standard. There's something that we can quickly set up, but that would be subject to monitoring that we could get to quickly, and that actually would be useful for the voter, as opposed to something that doesn't lend itself to a drop off. And we thought about fire stations, but fire stations really aren't, when you have a heavy volume, they're not going to lend themselves to drop off, drive up, drop off. Whereas the libraries have that, typically have, at least most of them have those type of drive up, drop offs for book depositories. And so we could set it up. So we've been exploring that idea. Yes.
Forgive me, Director, but multiple Dropbox locations lends itself to ease of voting and more voter participation. And I may be jaded, but I just don't see our colleagues and friends on the opposite side of the aisle being all that enthused by that idea. And so I don't foresee Attorney General Yost coming down with a decision that's going to favor multiple Dropbox locations when the legislation doesn't necessarily call for that. So my guess is that he's going to come down with a decision that has one Dropbox location per county, which is also what is expected by the vast majority of everybody else that I've ever spoken to about this issue. So it would be fantastic. I'd love to have multiple Dropbox locations throughout Franklin County. And I'm very confident that you and your team would come up with a number of awesome ideas about where to put those that would make it much easier for folks to participate in the election process. But my guess is that my best guess is that there's going to be one Dropbox location, which will be better than none, which will be a help to our current system, even if there's only one. And so I'm assuming that you and your team will find a great location that will help the burden at the North Voting Center on Morse Road.
That's what we're working towards. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Commissioner Brown, do you want to? I think unless there's any questions.
Any other questions, comments? Otherwise, I'll move for approval of 5/16/20.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 5/16/20 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Director.
We'll be in touch.
To Job and Family Services.
Resolution number 5/18/20. Resolution approving a contract with Nexus Incorporated for a technology platform that supports online youth employment and training programs and services in the amount of $60,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Vivian Turner, Assistant Director. The Nexus Payroll Career Pathways platform is designed to provide youth with access to training and employment opportunities for entry-level positions. Training will be designed to align with the specific work skills employers require, and youth will also have the opportunity to earn industry-based certifications. Young people will be able to build their portfolios and apply for positions with area employers directly through the platform. During the pilot phase, approximately 500 AMP youth ages 16 to 24 will have access to the platform. This resolution supports goal number 11 of the Rise Together Blueprint, and pending any questions, I request your approval.
Vivian, I just have one question. How will they know about the platform? How will the young people know?
So the platform is being introduced by our contracted providers who have all of the enrolled youth.
Okay,
So they will introduce them to the platform.
great, wonderful. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'll move for passage of 51820.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown,
Yes,
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 518-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 519-20, resolution authorizing a second modification of the agreement with Ethiopian Tehowedo Social Services to serve as fiscal and administrative agent to assist the New American Advisory Council.
Good morning, Commissioners. Vivian, I'll jump in here in just a moment here. Chris Long, Deputy County Administrator, presenting the resolution today under JFS for the New American Advisory Council. So pleased to bring this forward to you. This would continue the relationship with ETSS to be the fiscal and administrative agent for the New American Advisory Council. As you know, this board created the New American Advisory Council in 2017, and since then they've been not only meeting regularly but also hosting a New American the New American Forum each year, and the next one is coming up in September. And so we're so pleased this morning to have both the director of ETSS and the director of Us Together here to talk further about not only the council but the upcoming forum. And so with your permission, Commissioners, I'd like to first turn to the director of ETSS to begin the conversation, and then we'll turn it over to Us Together.
Thank you so much. Did you hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I appreciate Commissioner O'Grady, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Boyce. I really missed you. Actually, I didn't see you face to face, but now at least I can see you. Thank you so much, for creating a more welcoming and inclusive community for all people that they will call Franklin County home. Nowadays, because of your leadership, the Central Ohio community knows the impact of New Americans and in Columbus, Ohio, enriching our culture and contributing to economic and community development. So you are really taking the lead for making our voice to be heard. And the New Americans Advisory Council is one of the testimony that you have done for us. Our voices are heard in Rise Together Blueprint. We are there. We make our voices, and now still we are making our voices. So thank you so much. Because this New American Advisory Council was established to build a more welcoming and inclusive community that promotes successful integration through community engagement. This year, the New Americans Council voted to host a virtual event, the New American Forum, on September 24th, 2020. For the last 3 years, we did this forum in public, and we got together and do different issues in the community. This year, our focus and our theme is community engagement, rebuilding after COVID-19 in the lives of New Americans, especially the influence and the impact that COVID-19 brought to our community, and also the race and racism in the life of New Americans in Franklin County. So those are the few areas that we identified is questions about health and safety, education, questions on financial and economic impact. What are the financial impacts on New Americans' own businesses? Most of our businesses are really, really affected. And I heard this morning the approval of sort of minorities and African Americans business support, which is really, really our community is going to be benefited, and we partner with Urban League and One Columbus. So I really, I was very, very impressed by the decisions that we came forward. Questions about education. Our community parents are really worried about. They welcome the current Columbus City Schools virtual online training, which is most of our community are welcoming. But also they brought their concern to our community liaisons and bilinguals is that the parents has to choose whether they have to stay with their kids or they have to lose their job. So they're really torn up between these decisions because, the kids need someone to supervise while they are not home, but at the same time, this parents has to work. So really they are struggling, but the New American Council members and ETSS as a lead refugee migrant youth organization, working with Columbus City Schools to find a solution, just to let you know that this is really a concern in our community. So those are the areas that we are focusing, and I hope that you will join us. And thank you so much for your continuous support for the last 3 years for this New American Advisory Council, and at the same time for supporting our New American serving agencies in all areas on youth, employment, community engagement, participation in all aspects. We are proud of your leadership and partnership. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Director. And let's now turn to the Director of Us Together.
Good morning, Commissioners, and thank you very much for your continued support. Since the New American Advisory Council was established, every year our council had a New American Forum, and every year it took a different form. So there's no different this year. It now takes a new forum, a virtual forum. It will be held September 24th, and we're inviting all of you to participate and in our discussions. And I hope that we will have meaningful discussions about gaps in services, about access that will inform our recommendations for the Board of Commissioners. But more importantly, even our discussions and celebration of resiliency and successes in our New American community. And I whenever I have a chance to speak, I always want to highlight that. And just want to highlight a couple of examples of that. For example, in the healthcare industry, approximately 176,000 people who are refugees working in the U.S. healthcare sector. Among them, health aides, nurses, doctors, surgeons, maids, housekeeping cleaners, dentists, dental assistants on the front lines, not to mention food industry that keeps us all fed. And also in education, Dr. Salasha was talking about one of our focuses, education. And 2 million immigrants in this country make up more than 1 in 8 workers in U.S. education sector. Is significant. So we represent almost 13% in education sector. And all of those different industries that been impacted, and including small business. And one of the areas that we're going to talk about also is how we can support and celebrate New American small business. Especially in this day and time, I want to talk about IT sector. While so many Americans continue to work remotely, immigrant IT workers play an essential role in helping U.S. economy maintain digital infrastructure so that the businesses can continue running and people stay connected. 1 in 4 IT workers in this country are immigrants. And so we want to celebrate all these contributions, all these successes, and thank you for continued support for our communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and certainly pending any questions, I'm happy to answer any questions about the content of the resolution. And thank you to our guests for all the work that you both have done in your organizations on behalf of the community. So Commissioners, I'll turn it over to you, and pending any questions, we would recommend passage of this resolution.
You know, what you do is so important to the fabric of our community, and I can't imagine a time before the New Americans Advisory Committee. I think what you're doing is really important in supporting each other as members of many different communities who came to this community to find a better way to be. And we've welcomed you so, and it's a tough time for all of you and for us to be able to be with you during this tough time is really important, because we value your contributions. We value the relationships we have with you. So I am really happy that we are continuing to work with you, and to be involved with the advisory council and all of your work. I am very happy to move forward this resolution. I don't know if my colleagues have anything they want to say, but I'm still going to move forward 5/19/20, and certainly my colleagues can offer their comments as well.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Brown. I just also want to thank Ms. Kasdan and Dr. Saleshi for all the work that you do, not just here in this resolution, but simply being the conduit to information, communication, and a better life for all residents. You know, Central Ohio, Franklin County, is growing at a very fast rate. And with that growth, there are many great things that we're seeing in our community. But the thing that I like the most about our growth is the diversity that continues to grow in Central Ohio, and the more cultural we have become over the last 20 or 30 years. And your work to help integrate, provide resources, and support our newest residents to Central Ohio are some of the most important work that we can do while we grow and become a more progressive, more diverse Central Ohio that makes us a great place to live, work, and raise a family. So I'm just very excited to second that motion, and look forward to your continued work.
Thank you.
Moved in, seconded, voting. I'm sorry, Commissioner.
Go ahead. We'll vote and then I'll comment. Go ahead.
Moved in, seconded, voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 5/19-20 has been adopted.
So I appreciate the fact, that we have voted on this resolution and passed it. We are all three longtime residents of Franklin County. I've been in this. We moved to this county when I was a baby. So I, having grown up in Franklin County in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, before Franklin County became a county of new Americans. And then as an adult in the 90s and over the last 30 years, to watch Franklin County become a much more diverse county, a county of new Americans, and to be a part of helping that, along with my colleagues, be a part of helping that to flourish, and helping new Americans to find ways to grow, and find ways to become a part of the community, to find ways to grow businesses and grow families, and to be just a part of that fabric has been an unbelievably rewarding thing, especially having grown up in Franklin County in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where Franklin County was largely white and black and a little bit Asian because of the university. And then since maybe the early 90s, Franklin County has really flourished and really become an international community. It has been, I think, just a phenomenal thing. Columbus and Franklin County have become so much more like all the communities that we travel to all over the country and all over the world. And now, as a county commissioner over the last many years, to be able to be a part of helping to nurture that has just been it's been one of the more rewarding parts of the job, and a job that has so many rewarding parts to it. I tell people all the time that this is the greatest job you could possibly imagine. But this is definitely one of the great things about being a county commissioner. So this is a very heartwarming resolution to pass today. And thank you, Dr. Saleshi and Nadia for being with us today and for all the work that you do in our community and for the partnership that we have with you and your organizations. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So, Dean, we are now at
Steve.
the
Sanitary
yes,
engineer.
that's what we're now to sanitary engineer.
Resolution.
Go ahead, sorry.
Resolution number 520-20, resolution authorizing a water service agreement between Franklin County Board of Commissioners and City of Columbus for Perry Township.
Good morning, Commissioners. Stephen Renner with the Department of Sanitary Engineering. Before I get into the resolution, I just want to tell you that I am so moved by the multiple items that your leadership and on this agenda today with the Growth Alliance and Growth Business Equity Alliance and the New American Council and all the other operational duties. This has just been a very moving general session to watch. And I just want to thank you for your leadership and being a part of this team. The resolution before you is the City of Columbus and Perry Township have entered into an annexation agreement, which allows certain properties in Perry Township to have access to water and sewer services without annexation. On your behalf, our department owns, operates, and maintains water and sewer services in Perry Township via water and sewer agreements with the City of Columbus. However, some of the properties in the annexation agreement between Perry Township and the City of Columbus are not covered in the current water and sewer agreements. And so therefore, the two resolutions, I should have clarified, one's a water, one's a sewer agreement, is just revising those agreements and making sure that those properties are covered in the water and sewer services.
Okay, if there are no questions, and thank you for your comments, Stephen, appreciate that. If there are no questions, I'll move for passage of 520-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 520-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 521-20, resolution authorizing a sewer service agreement between Franklin County Board of Commissioners and City of Columbus for Perry Township, Franklin County, Ohio.
The same speech, Commissioners. This is just rectifying and making sure that those properties, those additional properties, have the sewer services that are needed.
Great. I'll move for passage of 521-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 521-20 has been adopted.
Commissioners, thank you very much. If I may add one item just for your awareness, on July 14th, you granted via resolution 431-20 emergency legislation for us to address a very serious impending sewer situation in the Worthington Hills service area. I am very happy to report to you that as of yesterday, all that work has been completed. There is a new sewer, 190-foot sewer in that area. There is some road and gutter curb maintenance that needs to be completed, but the said work is done. So thank you very much for that.
Good news. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Now to Justice Policy and Programs.
Resolution number 522-20, resolution authorizing a supplemental appropriation within the Targeted Community Alternatives to Prison program.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Daniels, Director of the Office of Justice Policy and Programs. Our first resolution is requesting a non-general fund supplemental appropriation in the amount of $500,000 for the Targeted Communities Alternatives to Prison program so that we can continue to distribute and spend these TCAP monies throughout the remainder of the year. Pending any questions, we'd ask for your approval.
If there are no questions, I'll move for passage of 522-20.
Second.
Moved and seconded, voting Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 522-20 has been adopted. Resolution number 523-20. Resolution authorizing a year 3 contract extension with Karen Leffler for peer support and case management services through the fiscal year 2019 Centers for Disease Control and Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration Medication Assisted Treatment Prescription Drug and Opioid Addiction Grants in the amount of $25,000.
Commissioners, the title of this resolution is longer than the contract itself, but this is simply an extension of our contract with Karen Leffler, who most of you know as Jen, for ongoing peer support services for the ladies involved in our Pathways programs. Pending any questions, we'd ask for your approval.
I'll move for approval of 523-20.
Second.
Moved in second and voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 523-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
All right, to purchasing, please.
Resolution number 524-20. Resolution approving purchases for various Franklin County agencies in the amount of $1,642,713.27.
Good morning, Commissioners. Megan Perry Valanier, Director of Purchasing. The resolution before you requests your approval of 96 purchase orders for which the County Auditor has pre-certified available funding. This week, 14 out of 19 eligible POs totaling $150,969.80 are being presented for award to 3 small and emerging business enterprises, 1 disadvantaged business enterprise, 8 women business enterprises, and 2 minority business enterprises. This represents 74% of the eligible PO volume and 89% of the eligible PO dollar value. Pending any questions, I request your approval of this resolution.
I will move for approval of 524-20.
Second.
Moved in second and voting, Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 524-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
To the Board of Commissioners.
Resolution number 525-20. A resolution approving the issuance of healthcare facilities revenue refunding and improvement bonds, Series 2020, the Wesley Communities Obligated Group Project of the County of Franklin, Ohio, in one or more series in an original aggregate principal amount not to exceed $100 million, and consenting to and approving the execution and delivery of leases, subleases, and a trust indenture connection with the issuance of such Series 2020 bonds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you hear me a little bit better today?
Yeah.
So,
Great. Great. Thank you.
Looks like you're in a different room today, Drew, than you were the other day.
Actually, trying it off my cell phone today. I'm not sure what happened on the computer the last time. So, but I apologize for that. I am Drew Lindenbaum with Dinsmore and Scholl as bond counsel. I'm here with Peg Carmody and Bob Wayner, the Chief Executive and Chief Financial Officers of the Wesley Communities. The Wesley Communities runs 3 senior living campuses in Central Ohio: Wesley Glen in North Columbus, Wesley Ridge in Reynoldsburg, and Wesley Woods in New Albany. At your June 2nd meeting, this board passed a resolution approving a conduit bond issuance for the benefit of the Wesley Communities. This new resolution is substantially similar to what was passed at that meeting. There has been only one change. A newly formed affiliate has been added to the resolution as a borrower. Proceeds of the bonds will still be used primarily to refinance several prior series of bonds for debt service savings. Also, there will be a smaller portion of bond proceeds used for projects on the Wesley Glen and Wesley Woods campuses. The Hospital Commission met last Wednesday, held the public hearing, and approved the issuance unanimously. The bonds are being underwritten by BC Ziegler and Company. Since the briefing session, Ziegler has reached out to Loop Capital Markets to become a selling group member for this transaction. Finally, as you're aware, these are conduit revenue bonds backed solely by the revenues of the Wesley Communities. The bonds are not general obligations of Franklin County, and no tax dollars can be used to pay debt service. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Peg for her input on this as well. Thank you.
Peg, you're muted, just so you know.
Well, what I just said was brilliant, but I'll say it again. Good morning, commissioners. I was honored to be part of the Community Equity Fund conversation this morning. We began the exploration of this bond deal pre-COVID. And now that we're post-COVID, I can tell you that this bond issuance is vitally important to the Westlake communities to keep us on a firm financial foundation. We have 663 employees at the Westlake communities, 45% of whom are people of color. And I can tell you up close and personal why COVID hit the African-American community so hard. I remember particularly the night that the bus lines were cut. I decided that I wasn't doing anything at 5:30 in the morning, nor was I doing anything at 11 o'clock at night, shift change. And so we bought a bus and we started driving. Those of us who were able to do that got our employees to work. I can also tell you that you get to know frontline workers pretty well at 5:30 in the morning and 11 o'clock at night. This bond issuance began with Ziegler because Ziegler is the expert in our senior retirement community bond refinancing. That's why we went to them. On behalf of all the residents we serve and on behalf of all the people I work with, I urge passage of this resolution and welcome your questions.
Thank you for your comments. I appreciate that. And if there are no further questions from my colleagues, I will move for passage of 52520.
I just wanted to recognize before I second it, I want to recognize and appreciate the commission for adding Loop Capital, which is a minority-owned investment banking firm, to the transaction. I understand the stage to which they were added, which made them a selling group member as opposed to a co-manager, but it's progress. And I hope that in the future, as you go, we keep our teams diverse and included as part of these transactions. As you said, almost half of your employees are of minority, and it's a value-added proposition to every transaction when you do that. The other part about it is that it's a best practice. When you are issuing a volume at the par amount that you're at, it allows for a comprehensive pricing strategy that will strengthen your price as it goes to the market, because the different firms who have different investor resources can turn to their investor pool and provide your bond to an investor and really give you a diverse sense of distribution, which can have an impact on the overall pricing. And so I think this is a best practice. I think this is a good social commitment and illustration of your willingness to work with the Board of Commissioners and work within the Franklin County value system. And so I just wanted to acknowledge and appreciate that, because kind of flew over it, but I do want to acknowledge that. So no more further comments from me other than to second the motion.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady? You are muted, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution number 525-20 has been adopted.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
Resolution number 526-20. Resolution reappointing Peggy S. Anderson, LISWS, to the Franklin County Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Services Board.
Good morning, Commissioners. Eric Janis, Deputy Administrator. Pending any questions, would recommend approval of this reappointment.
I'll move for approval of 52620.
Second.
Moved and seconded voting. Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce?
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady?
Yes.
Resolution number 526-20 has been adopted.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Resolution number 527-20. Resolution of the Franklin County Board of Commissioners to convene into executive session for the purpose of considering personnel matters.
I will move to to convene into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, or compensation of a public employee.
A second.
Moved and seconded. Voting. Commissioner Brown,
Yes.
Commissioner Boyce,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Grady.
Yes.
Resolution number 527-20 has been adopted, and we are now in executive session.
Clerk Lang, I assume we have no